So we can just go ahead and get started. I think it's plenty of time. All right, so this is our page 1. I always like to just start off by, oh, I'm sorry, actually, I forgot. Were you gonna start recording now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. All right, go ahead. Words of encouragement. Anyone can hand letter as long as you're willing to practice. Think of lettering as drawing shapes. Lettering is not cursive. While learning this new skill, go slow and controlled. Don't worry about shakiness. In the beginning, focus on each stroke and understand how each letter form is created. I have my tracing paper, and I always just like to start off with the basic strokes. Even with all my beginners, I know I do this in my advanced class as well, but I do have this going right into it so that when I explain the rest of the packet, you understand what I am talking about. So let's just go through our warm-up. Let me grab a bigger pen. Have an upstroke, starts from the bottom up with the very tip of your pen. Very tip of your pen, bottom up. Downstroke, top bottom with full pressure. Overturn, bottom left with light pressure. Go over and apply pressure once you're over. Underturn stroke, top left with full pressure. Release right before the bottom. Back up with light pressure. Compound curve starts on the bottom left with light pressure. Over, full pressure down, release before the bottom. Back up with light pressure. Have the oval. Starts a little past the bottom. I like to say 10 o'clock. Goes clockwise, full pressure down, backwards, back up to where you started. Reverse oval is counterclockwise. Start around 1, 2 o'clock. Backwards, down pressure, back up to where you started. Ascending loop starts in the middle, light pressure backwards, full pressure down, passing where you started. Descending, full pressure down, release before the bottom, backwards with light pressure, and stop halfway down on the downstroke. That is our basic strokes that create our calligraphy. Page 3 is I like to refer this as a guide. So whenever you're going to sit down and practice and do anything for the day, anything that has to do with calligraphy for the day, I suggest having this put aside. Definitely in your beginning stages, put this aside, use it as a reference guide, and always practice with your basic strokes, just as we did to waken up your muscle memory. But briefly, we have our basic strokes here at the top: upstroke, downstroke, overturn, underturn, compound curve, oval, reverse oval, ascending loop, and our descending loop. This is just a little guide showing every time the color changes is when the pen was lifted. I always like to tell everybody, whenever you're doing any letter formation, you want to lift your pen in between every single stroke. So that demonstrates that there. Here's an alphabet breakdown. And on the alphabet breakdown, it's pretty much self-explanatory. It just shows you what strokes create each letter, just for a reference guide. Pretty simple. For example, the letter B has 3 strokes: entrance, ascending loop, oval, exit stroke. Combine the 3, slightly overlapping as necessary to form the letter. There might be instances where, like the letter F, when you're forming it in a word, you're not actually going to pause in between every single stroke here. This is just, it's just a breakdown of what strokes go into each letter. But again, when you're forming it in a word, F's are usually performed with 1 stroke. So this so that's the difference. It's not going to really, this is more just to let you know the strokes that go into every letter. A couple of strokes I like to point out are the letter M and N. Whenever you're learning them, when you're learning them, make sure you practice every stroke and not do the letter M all together. Don't mash it up. Make sure you're lifting every pen in between every stroke to create the perfect letter M, like that. So again, with the M and N, make sure you lift between every single stroke. That is very crucial. And then with the letter R and the S, those are very similar to the letter F. These are the breakdown, but when you using them in words, it's a lot easier to write them out as if they were 1 stroke. So that's something quick there, basically showing every stroke that creates a letter. Do I have any questions before I move on? Okay. Okay. Brush lettering basics. I always like to go over these and say that when starting, these are your very top basic brush lettering basics that you want to remember if you're having trouble with letter formations. So always keep in mind, every time you have a downstroke, the brush pen is going towards you. It's going to be with full pressure. Or how do I say it? Every time there's a downstroke, you're going to apply full pressure. And every time the pen's going away from you, it's going to be light pressure. Almost like that. So towards me, full pressure, away from me, light pressure. Angle your pen at a 45-degree angle and not straight up and down. And actually combining the two, number 2 and 4. So holding it at a 45-degree and with holding it in the middle of the barrel will definitely help create your formation. Oh, that wasn't a good. Have that there. And then on your underturn strokes, lifting your pen right before the bottom. Don't wait till you get to this area. You want to lift in this area to avoid a heavy bottom. You don't want to wait till you get to the other side. Lift right before, and you want the bottom to be more thin than thick. With foligraphy, it's always good to know foligraphy to help you understand thick and thin. Also, foligraphy will be very helpful when you do not have a flexible pen available or you're doing a huge project that does not have, say for instance, we're doing wood art and it only requires you to use Sharpie oil pen. This is when learning faux calligraphy will be beneficial. So to get your faux calligraphy, we'll write the word high. You always want to keep your basic strokes in mind when you're forming your shapes. To make sure there's enough spacing to add your second stroke. And then, because your pen is not flexible in those certain situations, you would then go back and just fill it in. But then there are some times when you want to use your faux calligraphy to color in and use it more of an art piece. And you can definitely go back and add a little bit of color to your open space, depending on how big of a project you're doing. You can add doodles, watercolor, do an ombre watercolor. But basically that's just your basic of how to get your faux calligraphy. And we'll definitely go over that again in our worksheet. Okay, so we'll stop here and I will go over this later on towards the end of class. And we can move on to our worksheet for the month. Do I have any questions? Okay. Let me get a clean tracing paper and then just go right into it. Actually, let me have 1 second. I'm going to look up. Okay. I was checking to see if these strokes on the copper plate uppercase letter H had a specific word. Sometimes they have a specific wording, but these do not. If anything, this second stroke would be labeled as the universal line of beauty. This obviously looks like a compound curve that is just attached to the beginning of it. And then the cross stroke of the letter H looks like an extended letter L. Okay, so 3 strokes, compound curve.
Rachel, could you lower the paper just a little bit?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, it's because I have my iPad higher now. How can you see it? Because I lifted my iPad just so that we can see it here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Does it look good?
so it goes all the way from your capital H all the way through November. I mean, from
Okay.
that November, yes.
This one. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. And then the reason I say that because I have you higher, so then I really can't see the screen like I used to before, where I would stay focused. But okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, so 3 strokes, letter H, compound curve. Universal line of beauty. This starts off with the very tip of your pen, and once you get started, after you, how do I explain it? After you've gone just very slightly, you apply pressure all the way down, and then of course right before the bottom you release and exit with a hairline stroke. Let's do that one more time. So very slightly apply pressure all the way down and then release before the bottom with an exit stroke. Let me do it one more time. So you have, it's hard to explain. I drop my pen and I just slightly move it, but as soon as I start moving it, I apply pressure. Almost like a little roller coaster. Just tip of your pen. As soon as I want to go down, I apply pressure, release before the bottom, and with an exit stroke. Let me do this stroke real quick. This looks like an extended letter L. And you exit straight up. So let's combine it real quick. Have a compound curve. So this is going right into it. So actually, because it's been so long since I did this, I want to say maybe we do the universal line of beauty first, and then we do the compound curve second. That's right. That's right. Sorry to confuse you. And then go below the baseline, cross up, try to stay as parallel to the universal line of beauty. Go straight down, looks like the letter L, and then an exit stroke. So one more time. The main stem, and it actually goes in a, see here I was going up and down. That's a no-no. Go more of a angle. Add the compound curve next, and then the extended letter L. These copper plate letters are so hard to learn. Takes lots of practice. Can't get that. All right. There we go. Practice, practice. Our regular letter H. Three strokes. A bounce letter H. So with the entrance stroke, instead of starting on the bottom, I actually added a hook on the top just to give it a little character. And on the compound curve, I bounced below the baseline. So go here. Give it a little bounce. See, letter H is one of those, if you were to do a bounce letter, more than likely the H will always look good as a bounce letter in the word. See how I bounced the downstroke. Okay, so we have the H in foligraphy. This first stroke is more like a letter J. Is it dark? How's the shadow, the lighting on these letters? It's too much shadow. No. So letter J, maybe to do it two ways. We can do the stroke on the outside. Maybe the outside might be better right there. And the first stroke. Oh, and then on this top corner. So what I did here, over, almost like a little swirl on the top, completely stop and go straight down to give it a little corner there. There we go. Let's see. Letter L. Second stroke on the outside, and then connect it right in the middle. And then of course the reason I'm doing it this way is so that there is no cross strokes in between the open areas. So with the lowercase letter H, we'll do outside second stroke. There we go. There you go.
Rachel,
Yes.
besides the small letter H, which
Okay.
other letters are usually okay to bounce? So H, I know, and I see an S. So typically, what's okay to bounce them?
So one thing I like to mention, I like that question because I have this reference guide that I came across, and it has almost the whole alphabet, and it has letters that they recommend. And I'll send that out. I'll have Ashley send it out. But my first answer to your question would be start with the basics, sketch out the basic word, and then go and see where you want to add your bounce. Because the thing with bounce, it's almost every other one. So there's really no rules because every word is different. So that's why I always recommend start by sketching. And then, so let me just, for example, I did not create this word November without starting with the basics. So I literally started like this on a different piece of paper, and I did it that way.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, so always keep that in mind. It's almost just a pattern, every other one. But for practice, there is a paper.
Right. And I do have one more question. So
Yes.
when you're writing out a word, and for example, like sweater, weather, any tips or advice about keeping the equal spaces in between the letters? Like, I know you're eyeballing it, but
Yes.
is there any other way?
I know. What are you finding on your side? Are they just
For some
cramming?
reason, I guess because I guess in my opinion, when I'm writing cursive, like I know it's not cursive. I know the lettering that we're practicing is not cursive, but as I'm doing a project, let's say, and I'm trying to make the appearance of the brush lettering, I'm having difficulty with keeping the same equal spacing in between each letter.
Okay, so okay, thanks for explaining that. So now I know what you mean. Okay. That's why I always say practice your entrance and exit strokes. So I think that's what's helping me is, let me grab or I could do it here. So I'm gonna write the word, let me see, page. Okay. P, there. That's my spacing. A, lift. G, and E. So did you see, no matter what, I always had my exit, and I think that's what it is.
So your exit strokes and possibly your entrance strokes or your spacing.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I always mention practice entrance and exits.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm gonna show you. I don't know if I know I've showed this before, but give me a second. Oh, okay. This. I've showed this before, and so I always I mean, this. I think this was a big deal. Oh, wrong way.
It is a big deal.
Because I think this is what truly taught me entrance and exits. No matter what. So I ended up.
Boy, and that L and that K are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's like mesmerizing, isn't it?
It is.
So I think this is what truly helped me. Just going, and I went all the way to the very end. And I think I even, like I said, I dated them. So this, I want to say the last date, 2/18/19. 19? Took me over a year to complete it. But even
in 2018, your it's
writing
awesome.
was good. Oh yeah, I was already. I this was just for fun. Yeah. So, this helped a lot with my spacing. Okay. I think we all had that problem. Everybody starts off that way for sure. But that was a really good question. Thank you for asking. Definitely. Okay, so that what I just showed you when I say do rows and rows and drills, that's just the best way to perfect it. Probably the only way to perfect it is doing a lot of nonsense on paper. Because if you try to come here and perfect the word sweater weather, you're never going to get it without your drills. So, okay. So then let's go ahead and practice the word sweater weather. And then, like you said, so I bounced this, but it was more because, I leave this area for a quote, and I just thought I'd add it because there really isn't, I wasn't teaching bounce or, any other formation. So it's just giving it a little character. And with this S, it was an extended entrance stroke. Yeah, so basically, no matter what I do, I always do my exit strokes. That's the number one thing of calligraphy. Don't do it without it. I guess my number one tip. That's what I mean. Here's a cool combination. Cross the T, go right into the H. There we go. The ER ended up being one big stroke. So that's another thing. The more you, doing those drills actually taught me. So when I think I want to say, when I got to every single combination on my sheet, I repeated it at least 4 to 5 times. And then you learn, you're going to tell yourself, oh, well, I actually don't like the way it looks when I lift my pen here or whatnot. And those 3, 4, 5, actually, when I would run out of room, I would have another paper on the side because I wanted this to look as uniform as possible. And I would practice. And so I remember practicing this one because this was a funky combination, but I never liked the way it looked if I were to lift my pen and then continue my R. Well, I mean, that looked good, but you know what I mean. I didn't want to see a disconnection, so I pretty much taught myself how to do it together without a disconnection. So there's some exceptions on some word letter combinations for sure. November. I would always practice early in the mornings and I would watch YouTube videos as I was practicing. And one lady made a comment, oh, I'm never going to stop drinking my coffee just because of calligraphy. And I thought to myself, wow, I was struggling because of my coffee. Drinking coffee in the morning, doing calligraphy is a challenge. And maybe that's why I got so good, because I challenged myself. And when she made that comment, I was like, I never thought about that. But yeah, I am not going to stop drinking coffee because I can't get my calligraphy to stop shaking. And I think that was a good comment she made. So here's just our word November broken down into all the strokes, or what I mean, every letter. So here is a combination. And then again, here, I didn't just create it like that. I started with the base letters and sketched out where I thought I might like the bounce. You know, when I started, I thought I wanted everything to just come out right at that moment. And I wanted it to look as good as all these people I was seeing on the internet. But I had to realize, like, no, you have to slow down, take your time, and what they're showing you is extremely edited footage of them not showing you their mistakes. And in order for them to get their bounce, they performed it multiple times. Go. When I do full calligraphy and I do the ovals, I actually never lift my pen. I just do 2 circles. I like the way that comes out.
Repeat that again, Rachel.
Okay, I'm gonna do it over here. So every
You talking
time
about the B?
so with the B, every time it is a circle or oval or reverse oval and it's faux, I never lift my pen. I just do 2 circles.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's pretty.
There we go. Something like that. But yeah, that's a little tip I learned doing all these worksheets. All right, we have our November in the extended form. Nope. I would have liked to give it more of a point on the bottom. And then the flourished. Wasn't too much flourish on this one this month. So with the N, this is actually pretty much a letter V because you want the N to have a sharp point. Just straight down and flick it up. Oh, that was a crazy combination. All right, so the M has a flourish at the bottom, like a sideways letter L. This B, I actually did the stroke up top before I went down. So crossed over, loop it again into a regular letter B. I don't know why I didn't do too many flourishes in this one. That's nice too. But I think I tried to cross it down the center. There we go. That's what I did. So when I looped it, I try to do my downstroke right in the center of the intersection. Okay, so that's it for our worksheet. Let me briefly go over this for the ones that have not had this class. So basically with calligraphy, you're gonna come across guidelines. Here on our packet, I worked a lot with basic 3 lines. I like to call this our grade school elementary lines. Very good for beginners, but then as you learn more, you're going to start hearing these words. So it's always good to know what they label the calligraphy lines as. I don't do it too much in the beginner packet because it's kind of unnecessary. We're really focused on our strokes. But we have our ascender line, our waistline, and baseline. And in between the waistline and baseline is what we call our X height. And our X height is where all our basic letter formations are made. So all our letters are formed here in the X height. And then right below it, we have our descender height. And I should say our ascender is obviously for our taller strokes, and then our descender, of course, is for our descending strokes. So that's just the basic of our guideline naming. So again, we have our basic elementary 2 section. I would use the bottom line as an X height, or I should say like this. See there? You're going to come across some that are at a slant, and this is more for a smaller brush pen. You would use the middle section as your X height. And then this here is for large brush pens. X height is again in the middle. And here, these I would recommend making your own if you want to do some practicing. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention, these are really good for practicing when you're learning calligraphy. And then you basically choose which angle, if you want it to go at an angle, and teach yourself some angled calligraphy, or you can just kind of create your own and go at a straight angle. If you were to use create your own guidelines using line paper, just depending on what size brush pen you're using, if you were to use a small brush pen like this, use one line for your X height, one for your ascender and your descender. If you were to use a medium size, use 2 lines, but then be sure to go 2 lines up and 2 lines down. If you're going to use an extremely large brush pen, use 3 lines, and same thing, 3 up and 3 down. And the same thing goes for dot paper, creating your own guidelines using a ruler and pencil. That's just a little bit on guidelines there. These are just some tips that you can go over on helping you during your practicing, and then some supply recommendations: paper, brush pen, dip pen, watercolor, and other. And most of these are labeled as we have found them on directly on the website. These are the brand names that you can search up if you're looking for beginner products. And then this is just another guideline of our uppercase and lowercase. These are the actual copper plate letters that I use to create my guidelines. So super simple, super basic, and in very little letters, numbers, you can see each stroke numbered. And then I went ahead and added the lowercase alphabet to each of them, again, just to use as a guideline. I did not go over this page because this is pretty much what I did here. This is what my alpha. So I like to throw this in there, get you started, and do some practice with alphabet drills. You can practice with pencil. You can practice faux calligraphy. Practice with a large brush pen, a small brush pen, whatever works for you. Okay, so do I have any questions before we move forward on our candy cane holder? Okay. Does everybody have their supplies? Were y'all able to gather some supplies, or are you just gonna watch me put it together? One second, let me. Okay, so today we have our candy cane holders. I really wanted to hot glue this, but I didn't find my hot glue, but then once realized, oh no, I don't think I want to melt this. Unless, maybe somebody, this is good to reuse the candy canes, give it away by the end of the night. But obviously if we were to hot glue it, it's never going to be able to be used again. So I just found taping it works a lot better. And then the ribbon will cover our tape. Super, super simple design. Found these at the Dollar Tree. So of course we have our tape. What I think I'm going to show you how I did it. I was able to tape 2 candy canes. I was able to tape 2 of them first. So let's do this step first. So kind of making sure they're leveled. See, you can't go based off this, which, guess that's what the Dollar Tree gives you, unleveled candy canes. But I want it to stand up, so we're definitely going to have to just go based off standing. Do that there. And then adding the third one. A little bit more tape. There we go. I guess I kind of like the tape because you can adjust it as needed. It's a little bit more flexible. Okay, that's 1 and 2. Super simple. Grab a credit card. Can either trace it with the pencil or just cut right along. Let me see. We can get creative, and where is it? Get creative and maybe add a little design to make a little border. Or just leaving it plain. Let me see, let's do some green here. And let's say, let's do my daughter's name. And do Avery. And then one thing I always like to tell you, just because your pen created this thickness, you can always go back and add a second layer. Create the thickness that you like. So this is almost like brush lettering faux calligraphy. I don't know, something like that. And then here, so we can use it as placemats, or at the placemats, or what was the other one? The food labels. So we can do gravy. Oh, you know, I was looking for a thicker pen. Let's try it with a thick brush letter. Did I spell it right today, Celeste? Okay. No, did I?
Yes.
Did I miss?
It looks pretty. It's so pretty.
Thank you. I was like, did I miss an E? Okay. But yeah, so pretty simple project we have here. Can have our, maybe writing it smaller too. Let me try that, because you saw how the candy canes kind of covered. So one or the other. Oh yeah. See, so you can actually see it through the candy canes. There we go. Have it like that, or a big, you can even do it in black. Or doing place cards, or seating cards. For some reason, I thought these candy canes were going to be a little bit more difficult than I planned. Does anybody plan to use these in their holidays? Oh, I knew I forgot something.
I'm just going to I'm gonna write Merry Christmas like this.
Oh, okay.
And then put it on my candy cane on my table.
Like that. Okay, okay. Ooh, let me do that so I could come out with a project. My family always loves to see, what did you do today? I like that. I know one of the pictures I shared, they had more to me, it reminded me of Christmas tree decorations, a little bit of fluff and fur. I thought that was super cute, grabbing something from the tree decorating. If you're very creative with your ribbon. Tomorrow's my daughter's birthday, so I thought I'd do her name because she loves when I include her in my project. I forgot my ribbon. There we go. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was so cute. I like that. I think I'm gonna do a Merry Christmas like you too, and just have it on display. I still have my pumpkin and my stack of books on display, and underneath my TV, I have to clean up. Did y'all want to do some more, or what did y'all think? Maybe a little holiday quote. We can practice a little bit more since we have more time. I grabbed one on my phone. I know I did this one last year, but I thought that it was just so. I just like the all the words that has to do with fall. Let me pull it up. Can't find it, but let's do this one. All right, let me get my paper out. All right, let's write. Hello, Autumn. Let me see. Or let me read it out loud. Hello, autumn, misty mornings, cozy nights, crunchy leaves, and pumpkin spice. I'm actually gonna do almost every other word as calligraphy.
Any tips or recommendations, Rachel, on like on capital letters like you're doing right now? Like, I know the downstrokes are the thicker. See, and I'm noticing, which I like this because
like these?
like the L's, yeah, the L's are shorter.
Okay, yes, I normally would have probably done the extended L, but I'm looking at this.
Oh, okay.
And it's giving me ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's almost one of this is what they call a tall skinny. It reminds me of a Ray Dunn.
Tall, skinny.
Yeah, tall skinny. Ray Dunn font. And that's just what you have to just keep it in mind. So if you're gonna go with this font, you kind of have to just go this way. So even here, like cozy, the Z is short. So I guess every little tail is short. You see that Z right there?
Yeah.
How it's not long, it's short. And that's what it is. So it's tall. So opposed to doing something like that. So yeah, tall, skinny. That's what it's called. So basically, if I didn't see this quote, I would have probably did it this way. but I still did the same thickness, just shorten the strokes, the cross strokes. And then I want to get a little bit of calligraphy.
Rachel, what's the name of the pen that you're using right now?
Oh, this is a Sharpie
Uh-huh.
stained. So it's stained by Sharpie.
Okay.
Oh, and it's a fabric marker.
Oh,
Amazon?
Amazon. Okay. Looks like a good one to use for foligraphy.
Because of the
I
to
guess the
fill it in,
shape.
or this.
No, the shape on the end, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like it would work for me for foligraphy because of the way the
Oh,
point
okay.
is. I guess it acts as paint, does it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, run out of room. And then we'll just do. But yeah, it's flexible. Extremely flexible. Well, I could have done, no, I ran out of room. I wanted it taller, but I guess I could have made it fit just right at the very bottom. But then I could have brought this whole quote up all the way. Yep. I got your ideas from last month, Celeste. I had got them in an email.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna work on that.
Sure.
We need to, I mean, quite honestly, at this moment, there is nothing planned for the new year. So that is definitely gonna help when I sit down and brainstorm.
Okay, good.
Anything. I mean, most of the time, this stuff is just, I get on Pinterest, and if it looks easy and it's easy to teach anybody else, I kind of teach myself and go from there. But for the most part, getting ideas from you would, I mean, anybody would be awesome, because hey, that's what y'all want to know, so let's all learn it together.
Okay, that's fine. And also I'm interested in like how to do numbers.
Oh yeah, we could do that next month or next week.
Or to effectively do numbers.
I don't, let me tell you just right now briefly. I would have to find a, I would need to find there. I have that written out too. I thought I maybe mentioned it once or so.
Well, I saw that you use that like on the top of these pages, practice sheets. Like you use page 5, page 6, you know. And then
okay, that was just the font. But
okay.
just right now, just to show you, guess I can show you here. Well, I know I need a, nope. Let's start here. Okay. Circles. And this is for practice, and it goes back to me always saying, sketch it out, sketch it out. If you do your ovals lined up in the right sizing, or like in this situation, I could have easily used these squares and made sure they're the right height. See, let's do it like that. You see that there? Kind of using the squares and behind the paper as a guideline. Do you see those circles there?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I was muted.
Okay, so let's use these. So you want them to be as uniform as possible. And then that's the key, is keeping them the same size.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Or I think it goes like that. Oh no, that's probably wrong. I need a, no, I think the 3 is very, that's more like it. 3, 4, or maybe the 4 goes. See, I have this paper. I'll put it together for next month's class.
That's fine.
And I want to say it goes like even diagonal. It's something like that. And then that's, the circles are for practice.
Okay.
But then of course there's a formation for every single letter. And I want to
Yes.
say there's even a video. So that's a good question. And I like that
Okay.
because of all the holidays and lettering
Mhm.
and everything
Yeah.
we're doing for the holidays. Let me write that down right now.
'Cause
Um,
that's really a different type of technique, it looks like, you know, compared to when you're practicing the exit strokes and beginning strokes,
yes.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
for letters.
Number guide. Okay, I'm gonna write it down so that we can get that for next month.
Okay.
It's super simple, but it's just getting it together and explaining it in detail because I want to say when I taught, I came across this what I'm trying to show here. Of course, the three had a certain way to look, and to me, the best way to describe it is calligraphy letter numbers.
Yes.